Okay, so we're recording. Welcome, Kathleen. Thank you so much for being here, for giving me this time to speak about your story, about your journey. Um, it would be so great. I've met you already few years ago. That's when I started. I've noticed you, and I've noticed your big heart, and you've been so giving and so supportive for anybody within the community, in spite of your own problems and your own life going around quite hectic with your little beautiful daughter Brenna, and you've got quite big family as well, so there's quite lots happening. I think it would be great. Sebastian and I, we ask members of the academy to share a little bit from themselves and from the journey with academy, so that we can show it then further and share it with our subscribers, because I believe that's like the most beautiful way to tell people how amazing our training and the community is, and the journey with the support that's happening in the community. That's the best way probably to tell them how great it is, and why to make the choice to join us as well. So yeah, if you could just say a little bit about yourself, and then when did it started? Where were you in life when you started online marketing or online
Yeah.
journey in the academy?
Goodness me. Oh, thank you so much, Beata, for asking me to join you. I feel so honoured. Gosh, I, of course, I'm a mum. I'm a married mum. Oh gosh, we just had our 19th wedding anniversary yesterday, my husband and I. So we also have 6 children. We had 6 children, sorry. Our daughter just recently passed away. But the children are the very reason that I decided to come online. Brenna, we it's such a long story, but it's an incredible story. When Brenna was born, she was actually born 3 months premature, and thankfully she wasn't diagnosed prenatally. And so we just carried on caring for this child as a premature baby. But as time went on, we found out that she had a chromosome disorder. At this current time, medicine says these children are incompatible with life, so they don't medically intervene. Thankfully for us, this is why I'm glad Brenna was not diagnosed when she was born. At 3 months premature, if they knew she had been trisomy 18, nobody would have come. The flight team from the other hospital would never have come to get her, because since the 1950s, these people have been trained to believe these children are incompatible with life, and so they don't medically intervene. But as time's come on from the 50s, these children, there's more of them. There's more and more and more of them. Mm. But until the internet, we were kept separated, and we didn't know. We believed what the genetics people would tell us. Mm. But what we didn't know as patients is they were just jumping on the internet, Googling and getting the information that way, and reading off the list of horrific things that could happen to these children. But anyway, how I found the SFM journey was Brenna was totally 24-hour medical care, and I took over that care because as she was the patient, I actually wasn't entitled to any kind of help or funding or anything for this child. So we struggled along doing it by ourselves. The medical team would only pop in once a week would be a home care team, but we used to have a lot of therapists that would pop in during the week as well. So we had medical people in our home nearly every day. And for a long time I was scared. I didn't know. I wasn't online, so I didn't have access to information. I barely slept because she was tube fed in every half hour, and she'd have vomiting issues, and she just had incredible issues where until they knew she had this terminal condition, they actually looked at me as if I was being a neglectful mother and failing to care for her properly. But they found out that was not so. Anyway, when they diagnosed her with the terminal condition, they said to me, take her home, make the most of her. She won't make it to one. These children do nothing. The outcome's always poor. And it's just a waste of time trying. And I couldn't believe it, because it's just like, how did I not know, for one? She was premature to start with, and they were worried at that time that she wasn't going to survive, but I actually prayed, and then by day 4 I had this calmness, and I knew she was here to stay. I had made an agreement in my mind with God, and I'd said to God, I'll go through anything. I'll do anything if you just, please let me have her. She's my only girl. Yeah. And I got the peace, and I just knew she was here to stay. It was incredible. And when they started telling me all these things about what she was or what she wouldn't be, I was like, I went into total denial. I was just like, no way, no how. God and I had to talk about this, and God, let me have her. Why would he give her to me and then cruelly rip her away? We don't have a cruel God. I just kept analysing and over-analysing, as you do, and then I had a moment of clarity where it was like, actually, you said to God you would go through anything. This is just a test. And I was like, that makes sense. So I just trundled on the plan God and I had, regardless of what the medical professional people were saying. So, of course, they ended up having to bring in psychiatric nurses and counsellors, and they even suggested drugs and all these crazy things, because they just thought I was not on this planet, totally not on the planet. It took time for me to turn a lot of the team, because there were so many medical mistakes. A lot of it came from policy for these particular children, which is different to the rest of the population. These children are singled out because of genetics, and to me, that in itself is not right. So we're working on changing that, as well as I've got a lot of other projects and works now, thanks to Brenna and SFM. But when Brenna survived, of course, she made it to 1, and then as she grew and grew and grew, it was she actually had more surgery when she was 2.5 years old, and they put in a permanent feeding tube into her tummy, and she just never failed to. She never thrived. Like, there were always complications after the surgery, and we were reporting it weekly. And this went on for 4 years of me trusting the system and trusting these people. And for 4 years, she had symptoms of a bowel issue. And like that classic symptoms, I didn't know, because I didn't think it was my job to know. Yeah. I trusted the profession. It ended with Brenna losing over 3/4 of a bowel. So, and of course, she was not meant to survive that. She didn't have enough viable bowel to actually live. But she survived, and in a series of happenings, professor came into our life, and he took us under his wing and did all this new stuff that had never been done before with a child like her. And she survived all that. But what I learned from that experience was, oh my gosh, I can't trust anyone. And I wasn't sure why. I just thought, I can't trust anyone because they never get it right. So I have to know, and I have to communicate with them that I actually know what's best for this child, that they're doing things wrong. And she's communicating with me and letting me know. But they were of the belief that she couldn't think, she couldn't process. They'd actually told me in the beginning she'd be a vegetable. If she survived, the amount of time she'd survive she'd be a vegetable. And I was actually quite shocked by that. But that wasn't so. And she was a really intelligent child. She was nonverbal, but she was nonverbal by choice. It took me a long time to realise, and it was after her death, because we had conversations after her death. I conversed with her after death immediately. She was everywhere, and a lot of it came down to patience. It was to do with me.
Yeah.
And I needed to learn patience in many areas of my life. I needed to learn how to communicate effectively with people, because she did, and she was nonverbal. And I asked why she chose not to talk, or why she didn't talk or couldn't talk. And it was none of those. She chose not to talk. And then I realised, of course she did, because she spoke to me. She used to speak to me. She'd use words from her mouth, but very rarely. Like, she always used mum. She'd say no, and she'd say hurry up. And I thought, oh my gosh, that was her showing me she actually could communicate.
Yeah.
And all the hand signals or the guidance, that was communication. But it was by choice. She chose not to be verbal.
Yeah.
That was really, really hard and tough for me, and frustrating, and trying to deal with that with a heap of other kids and people not listening all the time. And I really had to learn a lot of patience. She was an incredible child. But once she survived that, just before that, I'd actually realised she's going to outlive anything they say. And I need a job, but I can't go to work because I've got no time, and I barely slept 4 hours a night. And if I did get 4 hours, not very often was it 4 hours straight. It was all broken. And I just thought, I need a job that fits in with this. So my girlfriend got me a computer, and I got online, but I couldn't even use a computer. I was hopeless. It was hideous. I learned to email, not very well, and I could do Facebook. And then I started seeing these ads, but I still, in my mind, I thought I was dumb. I thought it was scams. I thought there were scams because I'd heard about that. But I ran across an article in a mum's group. It was work at home mums or stay at home mums, that was it. And there was this beautiful article written by a mum, and her name was Marie Santos, and she was she actually joined SFM just before I did, and I had no idea till a couple of years later that we were that far apart. When we joined, it was a whole different platform. It was still in the early stages, where Digital Experts Academy had not long been created, or it was being created, sorry. And so we were all scared, and the communication wasn't as good as or effective as now, because we learned as we went along. Like, many of us were too scared to reach out or ask questions because we thought it was a dumb thing to do. Like, the program has upgraded so much. It takes a lot of the little hiccups we had in the early days, like I'm going back 5.5 years now for me, myself, they've all been ironed out. Like, this platform is running like, oh gosh, something incredible. So I came in because I needed to create an income. So I came in from a point of desperation. I came in at a point of victim mentality as well, because the whole world was against me as far as I was concerned. You know, it was me against the world. And then I hung out. Brenna ended up in hospital. That's what happened. And I kind of shut down, but the community, I had just briefly become a part of the community because I hadn't even been with SFM 3 months when Brenna lost her bowel. And so I didn't really know many people. I knew a handful, and they were the people that were online coming to me and asking me if I was okay and what was going on. But I'd just found Abraham Hicks prior to starting SFM, so I was too scared to talk about my journey. And it's just like, I really made it a lonely journey because I didn't know what I could talk about. I just didn't know how it all worked, but I knew it was for real. I knew everything was for real, and I just didn't know how I was going to make it work. So from hospital, I just hung in there, and I thought, okay, I'll just go to meetings, I'll go to trainings, and that's how the community got to know Brenna, because I would just bring her along. You know, we were in a hospital bed and she was there, and all I knew was what from our training was that if you want it bad, you'll make it happen. You'll make time. You'll sacrifice whatever it takes. You have to have a big enough why. And so, of course, they tapped into that, and then I knew my why was my family, and I thought, well, I needed, I couldn't find my passion. I knew what my passion was my daughter. It was medical, and it was all those kinds of things. And I couldn't see how I was going to market that and find a niche market for it. And the affiliate side of things, I just thought I sucked really badly. I was scared of sales. I'm scared of the knockbacks, scared of failing. Just I was always fearful. And what I didn't realise was I don't have a passion for sales, not at all. But I do have a passion for people. Once I started to connect with people, because I also came from a very closed world too, but a lot of that is institutionalized from a young child. So basically I was conditioned by the system, and I went from that. And then when I was a naughty state ward, ward of the state of the government, when I would question or, you know, have a mind of my own, they said I was rebellious and I had mental issues, and it would be because of the traumatic experience I had as a child. So what they did was they threw me into the mental health system, and that didn't fit me either. But I believed them because I didn't know, because these people, the system had brought me up. And so it's only taken me, I've only woken up to the whole thing just prior to joining SFM and believing we are responsible for everything that happens within our lives or where we move forward. And if we take personal responsibility, then we take the victim mentality out of our life, because we're taking personal responsibility. We don't have to rely on anybody to take care of our things for us. We take care of everything. And that was a real turning point for me, because the system is designed to create us into victims. It perpetuates the fear, and then if they can do that to us, then we will be compliant.
Yes, then
And
they have a more control over whatever they do with us. Yes, yeah, definitely.
I learned through Abraham Hicks and SFM and DEA, we're unique beings. No two journeys are the same.
Mm.
What's right for one is not right for another. No one can tell you
Mm.
what is right for you. And this really got me thinking about the systems I'd come up through. And then I realized, oh my goodness,
Mm.
I have been kept sick for the majority of my life, and there was no I believed I was sick. I believed I was mentally ill. I believed I needed medication for the rest of my life. I believed these things that happened in my past defined me, and that I needed to keep talking about it, and it was harming me. It wasn't time for me to talk about it. I should have only needed to talk about it if it was used to help other people and to do good with. But when they'd make me talk about it, it was them having already profiled me and then using psychological training that they've gained.
Label you in a certain way, categorize. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's what happens a lot.
And ECFM helped me break out of that box, because then I really became a challenge. I was just like, oh my goodness, I've had all these people with medical degrees judging me on 15-minute appointments, an hour appointment, never to see me again, and yet they know exactly what type of person I am and what I need for the rest of my life. And I just thought, oh my goodness, you guys were wrong. I was actually fine. I really was okay. I was a child. I had a traumatic experience, and it's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But somebody should have said to me, we're so sorry it happened, but you're not broken. It's
right.
okay. You're now free to continue to live the life you were put here to do. And maybe give you some positive tools to move forward, but they didn't. They just made me sound like I was terrible. I was broken and just of no use to society, and that I was not even a whole human. It just
Terrible.
I look back now, and plus because I look at the problems we had in the world, like I used to watch a lot of news, and my heart used to break for all the bad news in the world, and I would just take it on, and I added to the medication and that brainwashing, the institutionalized brainwashing. I believed all that, and yeah, just my life could have turned out so differently if it wasn't for SFM. I could have been trapped there forever. And if I'd lost my daughter and I was in that frame of mind, I don't think I ever would have recovered from that kind of grief because of the training, the religious training, cultural training, parental training. I had their beliefs. So I would have believed I was meant to grieve and live a half life after my daughter had died. But through ECFM and Digital Experts Academy, Abraham Hicks, and all these new people and new things that this training platform actually introduced me to, like someone would come into my life, like Satori Prime Brothers, example, they came into my life. Now, I collect mentors and then I move on. So after Satori Prime, I still stay in touch with everybody. That's the thing. The people that have had the most impact on my life, they're my family. I love them so much because without them, I was waiting for death. I really, really was. My purpose in my mind was, I'm growing up the children, and when they're done, I'm out. I'm gone. See you later. I wasn't meant for this world. I don't fit, and everyone, yeah, it was crazy. But now I know it's totally wrong. And I believe Brenna's helped me to open my eyes to places I can be of help to other people within all the systems I've been involved in. See, after Satori Prime, through Satori Prime, I got introduced to the Flow Genome Project, which is another level of training again. It was also mindset training, but in a different field. It was like Google tech execs, scientists, rogue scientists, and this people on the cutting edge, Navy SEALs, and how they use techniques to just focus.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. And I joined these people because when you can hack flow, you can get if you get into a flow state, you could squash 5 days of incredible work into one day. And this is what I was searching for, because I needed to research better than anyone who was qualified at the subjects I had, and I had to fit it in to the time that was available to me. So yeah, it's just incredible.
I've been following your journey with Brenna, and all the wisdom and knowledge that you've gained through that process. I mean, it's shown you really knew what you're talking about, and you really understood the problem, and you really fight for her. And like you said, that's fight for so many other children that could be seen in a very different way than they've been seen until now.
Absolutely. And also, like, it taught me, like, SFM Digital Experts Academy taught me really good tools, like how to communicate with the masters. I learned techniques like social intelligence and how to get it, and that came from Mastery, Robert Greene's Mastery.
Yes,
which was SFM as well. And that made me think, these people were trained to profile us. So it was like, okay, I need to get into their minds, and I need to communicate what I want and get my way, but communicate in a way they hear what they want to hear, the way they want to hear it. And so it's a win-win situation. It's like, it's a really interesting experience when you're trying to stand there. You've upset a doctor because you've just stunned his ego, because you've really pulled rank on him and gone over his head. This is what happened to me. And he couldn't get it. He made it personal, and I was, please, I need to see you. I wanted. He would never talk to me. He made these horrific decisions and wouldn't come and explain himself. And I knew, keep the emotion out of it, keep the judgment out of it, ask for an audience with him, and communicate to him that none of this is personal. Please, can you explain to me why and how you've made these? I wanted to communicate. Nobody wanted to communicate until after Brenna was actually dead. But I'd already made the accusations well before she passed away of what they'd done to her. And that's when stuff started to go missing. Letters were written about me to make it look like I've done this to her. But thankfully, Digital Experts Academy, and I finally found a purpose of what I was meant to do with the system. It taught me to market and brand my daughter. She was my passion. Medical was my passion. And I'd been documenting her unique journey since she lost her bowel. So after that, when we presented at hospital with this last issue, and they didn't take me seriously in the first hour that could have been really crucial to her, I started filming. I jumped on that video from ED, and I documented the next 6 months. and I have the proof of what they did to her, and yeah, it's crazy.
That's
We brought
amazing.
politicians in, politicians even, the Minister of Health, we had a chief medical officer from the medical Ministry of Health. He stepped in and he advised, he recommended what the hospital needed to do for us. The hospital, he wrote back to me and said a plan has been put in place, and he thought I thought it was sorted. What had happened was everyone vanished. The boss of the DHB went on a month's leave, and every other doctor who was not our doctor, because he was away on medical leave, refused to see us. Not our problem. That's Willie's patient. He can deal with it when,
She's not
he
taking
gets back.
responsibility at all.
Yeah, no, they just... I'm just thankful that I've documented it, because I've got a lot of work to do moving forward, and I can't rush this. I've had to wait till our Prime Minister comes back from maternity leave. She's back tomorrow, because I just thought, on back of the nurses' strike and the nurses admitting the care rationing, they gave a name, and I was so thankful, because it validated all the things it just validated one of the things I'd been saying, that many people said, no way, there's no way nurses would limit care, or they'd deliberately go slow, and I'm like, slow code, and people go, no such thing, it doesn't exist, it's been outlawed since the 70s, but it's an unwritten code. I've witnessed it. I've met so many people who have seen it. I've even educated nurses, like registered nurses with children in the system. They were even blinded until I mentioned it. And I'm working really closely with an American nurse at the moment who was like, oh my God, Kathleen, if you didn't say what it was, I wouldn't have seen it, and I would have just been a frustrated mother because we have staffing issues, or we're understaffed, or whatever. She saw it, and once you see it, you can't not see it. Hey, it's crazy.
No, this is it. We there's so many things we don't know that we don't even know, and then if we, let's say, think that maybe something could be there's not enough information. And I mean, the work that you're doing right now, it's so incredibly important. Like you say, this is global, this is huge, this is saving people's lives.
Yes. Well, I try, with another member, I met SFM about 4.5 years ago. She had connections to the United Nations, and she was trying to steer me that way, and I was all for heading to the United Nations, but I don't trust the United Nations to be that. I don't believe they have our best interests at heart, to be honest. It's and part of that's instinct. Another part of it is the political red tape you have to jump through to even get get your submission seen. Then there's another round of presenting your submissions to this panel that have to approve it before it can even be selected to go forward to the United Nations. So there's too much of these groups talking, or else they're creating groups, panels to judge what's right for these people, but they're talking to the wrong people. So I thought they would have jumped on board and wanted this unique medical knowledge to update the medical science. Prior to Brenna dying, I had people come to me and say, You know what they're doing to her, don't you? You know they want her gone. You know they don't want to update their medical science. You know they don't want these children running rampant everywhere. You know, it's a drain on resources, da da da. And I was just like, hey, you can't kill them once they're here. You know, that's just, no, that's over the top. And that's what you're doing. You are pre-screening pregnant ladies, and these tests are far from accurate. You know, depending on which studies you listen to, they're actually, they'll do the test and then they'll say you've got the markers for these conditions, but then they'll say best course is to abort. There's no hope. So, you know, once they rattle off all these horrific things to the parent freaks out, and most of them will abort. Some don't, but the test is flawed. It is so flawed. At worst, they're killing 89% healthy, viable fetuses. This test is only accurate. They've only got it right 11% of the time, studies I was finding, and that's horrific. I know parents who have said they chose not to abort their child's normal. It was wrong. And I was like, oh my God, there's just so many things at play, and I cannot come off as an emotional mum or unqualified, you know, and I'm not buying it. I was going to do my degree, but I looked at it and there's nothing in there for me or for someone like me with the experience I had. I don't want to be a doctor or anything like that. I just want to help them. I want to help them. So anyway, they don't want these children in the world. I get it. Through the Flow Genome Project, I ended up into real way out there science, like AI, nanotechnology, and going that way, which also I fell into people are still trying to create a super race or superhumans, you know, but we were trying to create ourselves as superhumans when we were getting into biohacking and things like that. So it made me think, hey, where did all the scientists go from Hitler, from Nazi Germany? And I don't believe Hitler's the only one that was doing this. So I went looking, and of course that is when I came upon the UN knowledge that the UN is not going to help me. That I have no use for the UN. That so the scientist, the race to create superhumans has never stopped. God, silly me. And so what I found from that was, okay, you don't want these genetically inferior children here. You can't kill them. So I'm saying you need to be educating people. We need to change the way we think prior to getting pregnant. We can't just be going out there and just randomly getting pregnant, because the way the body works, if you have, if you're not healthy.
This is where it starts, right at the beginning, the education and letting people know what's actually happening. But we've been taught many untruths throughout centuries, and this is now, it's the programs that we're running. There's so much work to do, and I'm just grateful for, you know, for you and people like you, you know, that actually do make the difference, that make the choice to open up and, you know, and do educate other people and go that way and see, you know, this is like Brenna is miracle, like every other life is miracle.
Yes.
And there's everything can happen if we've got the right state of mind, right? And she proved it over and over again. Yes. And it's just by people, but those people that make the decisions to really acknowledge it and find place for it. And, this is huge. This is, this is changing mindset globally, mindset of so many people that are close up, and like you say, they don't even know that they don't know all those things, and they believe those rules and pre-written for years, and never really explored areas where there's there's so much amazing things happening in the world, and the technology is allowing us to like go even farther. And
it's incredible, like so incredible. And and that's I felt so sad for humanity, because I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm one of the lucky ones. I've broken free of my shackles, and I've totally, like, the mental health unit, they were just like, you are the fastest, because I went into therapy, and within a matter of months, I was just like, I'm done, I'm good, I'm okay. And they're like, that's not possible, that's you've got all these conditions, and you're hypervigilant, you're agoraphobic, your personality I've got complex personality B disorder. And it was just crazy. I read like some psychotic person, and all I wanted to do was like, I just wanted to get well. So I said to them, look, please explain to me how you think I'm like this, because all the things you've done for me over the 30 plus years of my life hasn't worked out so great for me. So because of SFM, I learned to question people. So I said to these people, you show me how you come to all this knowledge, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll take what I want from it, and maybe I can heal myself. Well, no, you'd never understand it. If you're not in psychology or psychiatry, you just couldn't understand all of this. And just things slotted in. I realized psychiatry is quackery. Homeopathy is our natural medicine. The weirdest thing, SFM introduced me to the likes of Dale Carnegie, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, all those kinds of people. You want to be rich, you got to look at those that are doing it. But in my medical world, those names popped up as the creators of the American Medical Association, the FDA, just Carnegie. It's frightening to think that these people saw illness as big business. So they're from the business world that I've just been introduced to. I find out they're responsible for medicine the way it is today, and they're also responsible for Big Pharma, the CDC. They're very controlling, and they also, what was I going to say? They were responsible for chasing all the holistic healers out. Anyone that was in America healing cancers or doing any healing naturally, they were quacks, and they were outlawed. There were laws made against these people to practice. It's crazy. It's so crazy. And today, when I see doctors pushing drugs that they don't even know what these drugs are capable of doing to a person, at worst, it's ineffective. Well, and then even worse, it's damaging to your health. It's crazy, and the numbers are high. It's horrific. And so what I learned from that also, we are not going to change the way they want to do medicine as business, but we can take personal responsibility for our own well-being and just avoid their situation altogether.
Right.
Just
yes,
stay
absolutely.
away.
Absolutely. take responsibility and educate ourselves. And again, technology and internet makes possible to really
Absolutely. Well, this is why they want to
have
censorship it.
everything. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they want to. Yeah, they just want to censor the internet like crazy. I bet I smile because the powers that be didn't see that coming. They didn't see how we would all connect with each other. And yep, you can shut us down there. You can shut us down there, but there's too many of us now. It grows and it grows and it grows.
It
And
does. It
I'm really
does
happy.
on many different platforms and in many different ways. But yeah, this is something that makes me happy every single day. You know, grateful for this way, for this communication and connection that's possible, and access to incredible number of information that
Yes.
I know when I was growing, it was not this way.
No.
And then yeah, the academy, I guess, for me personally, it opened up many different ways of looking at things which I wasn't aware of before, and having the support from the community and seeing how many people are there thinking the same way. You know, you have so
Absolutely.
many kindred spirits, like-minded people that coming from very different spaces in life, right? And
Yes.
and we meeting up, and we create this safe space of just being you, and share and share
Yes.
whatever you know, and exchange and learn and teach, and yeah.
Yeah. It was incredible because when I came in um, with no knowledge, for a long period of time, I actually was overwhelmed, but I still kept going to trainings, and I'd sit there and I'd think, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb, I'm so dumb, and that was, oh my God, bored, I can't get this, and I always remember Guy Ferdman saying, because I'd be on these same Friday calls with the Story Brothers, Ferdmans, and I'd just be, God, I'm so dumb, I can't get this, um, marketing mindset, and and I'm sitting there, and anyway, there was a portion, like, it was almost like repetitive. Every Friday was repetitive. It was same old, same old. And I can remember Guy saying one day, he goes, you're going to sit here and you're going to go, I know this. I remember this. I know this. And then one day you're not going to be here because you don't need us anymore. And I was just like, I could never see that day happening, but it did. And I was like, I get it. But I was like, I get it, but I still don't know how I'm going to make it work in my life because I need to make the money. I need to sell the products. I need to do it, and yeah, I just, I'm in, everything's perfect. It was just like nothing was wrong. Nothing's going wrong. Um, even when I look at all the things going on in the world, nothing is going wrong. It's exactly as it should be. Everybody has a place. Governments have their places. Just we need them for now. Well, they're there for a time being, but very soon, we won't need them. We just won't need them.
No, we
But
move forward. Yeah, it's like taking those steps and moving forward.
yeah, yes. So I just, I believe we're all meant to be happy. And sharing and caring and looking out for each other, and just making better choices and different choices that impact positively on your own life. The things we are taught to do, which end up with us holding ourselves in painful situations. We do it to ourselves because that's what we've seen our parents do, or it's what we see on TV. But I now believe that everybody else's input from such an early age into us has created the disconnect we feel with ourselves. And so by the time these teenagers are starting to ask questions and not being able to communicate and not understanding what's going on, I feel this helps contribute to them getting lost and committing suicide or just running totally off the rails because they don't know who they are. We've not allowed them to learn who they are. We've put all our programming into them, and we've put our programming into these children, and they know it's not right. They know it's not them. I'm really naughty. It's 10 past 10, and I'm meant to have picked up one of my children.
All right, okay.
And I mean, he's 15, 16, but he's in town and Fielding, and I really, really want to continue talking to you. I really, so I mean, I do have to go and get this child, but it's just, oh gosh, I'm happy to talk to you anytime.
We could do it again. We could meet up, and like I would love to do it again as well. You
so that you can have everything that you need, so you can put it together for your subscribers, because it's just like, God, I talk and talk and talk, and I feel like Jay. But that's what I loved about Jay, because when I met Jay, I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. That was me, you know. I can pick little nuances in him. I didn't want to speak to people. I didn't want to be out there, and I didn't want people looking at me, or it's weird. But they changed my mind. I was open to the learning, you know. I mean, they can put the training there, but it's what you do with it yourself, and what you believe you can do, and whether you believe you can or you can't, you're always right. You know, you always are.
Oh, Kathleen, thank you so much. I so appreciate you, sister, so much.
Oh gosh, I can't wait to see you and hug you heaps.
Yes, gosh. You know, we dreaming about traveling all together as a family. So one day we will make our way to New Zealand.
We will.
New Zealand.
I'll be somewhere anywhere. I'll be out there.
On my dream list. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Kathleen, so much love.
Same to you, Beata. Thank you so much, sister. Oh gosh, it's been my pleasure being with you.
You're hugged.
I know, big hugs back to you. I love you so much.
I love you, sister. Take care. You pick up your son, and
we'll talk soon. Thank
have
you
a good night.
so much. Yeah.
US night there. Yes. Lots of love. Take care, sister. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will.